Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tips and Tricks Tuesday with me, Valentina V. Let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me. I'm in a little bit of a moodier setup today. I just thought, why not switch it up? And in the interest of switching it up, I got a new camera. So I'm coming to you live from the Sony A7S III. That's right, I also got a new lens, so hopefully it's looking all nice now. Not that it wasn't looking nice before, but it's good to see you. Today we are talking about how to make magic in After Effects and literal like magic tricks, how to use After Effects to create magic. And I am going to have an interview with Kevin Parry, and I'm going to teach you a full lesson in it. If you want to get all of the notes for the lesson, you can go right here to adobe.ly/tips Tuesday. And there you will be able to get the entire manual so you can follow along with me and also just have all those notes ready for you. So again, that's adobe.ly/tips Tuesday. We are also simulcasting on YouTube and Facebook. On YouTube at the Adobe Care channel and on Facebook at the Adobe Video channel. So if the Los Angeles internet gods hate me and this is dropped for any reason, please let me know. But you can also always pop onto the other stream and then continue watching. I have you right here, so I'm going to be able to see all of your comments and questions on YouTube. Also, if you go to this link, adobe.ly/tips Tuesday, you will be entered for someone that I have admired and looked up to forever. Welcome, please, Kevin Parry. Hey, Kevin.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being. Why cooperate? Let's see here. Yeah, it has frozen. How strange. Okay. Okay, we were back for a second and then we were off again. Ugh. Love it. Love it. Love it. Trying to troubleshoot at the moment. And it might perhaps that is the reason. Gosh. Sorry, Kevin. Just give me a sec to figure this out. Okay, looks like we're on. We're back. We're on. Y'all, can you see us? Let the people know who you are.
Yeah, so I'm a stop motion animator and visual effects artist. So I do a lot of very tedious stop motion animation mixed with like visual effects magic.
And a lot of the things that you do are mostly practical. I feel like you do your best to get the most out of it practically, and then the After Effects portions are very like intuitive, I would say.
Yeah, pretty much 100% of everything I do is practical, meaning that everything is captured in camera. So I don't use any digital assets or computer generated stuff. So just a lot of filming little clips and then stitching them together in clever ways.
And what made you like want to do this for a job? Like how did you start, in with your interest in visual effects or in animation?
Well, I'd say the point where I'm at now, I never would have ever thought it would be my job doing this kind of stuff full time. But I've always been interested in visual effects and animation. Pretty much since I was a small child, just really interested in the behind the scenes aspect of movie making.
Yeah, did you watch any of those like behind the scenes specials that they made?
I did, yeah. There was a show called Movie Magic that was up and blowing up tiny buildings for movies, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for me it was also behind the scenes, but I also started getting into some like rudimentary programs. Like I used Pivot, which is this like you can animate little stick figures, and that was kind of my introduction to filmmaking. What are some of those programs that you started with back in the day?
I think Paint Shop Pro was probably the first one, like doing very basic Photoshop work. And then even just like collage work, like taking a photograph, cutting a person out, putting them on a background and like scanning it into the computer. Um, so I guess even back then I was doing practical stuff.
Basically, and then get into the effects after.
I
And down again. Just give me a second. Okay, I think we're back now. Yeah, fishing lines is stuff that I use. If anything, like I'll push something with my hand and then
yeah
mask out a hand.
yeah
And for that, it's really important to get a clean plate going.
oh yeah I do so many plates when I'm shooting.
For those who don't know, what is a plate?
A plate would just be, for example, like a clean plate would be if I'm filming myself and I need to disappear or do something. I'll run out of the shot and just get a clean plate of the background. Then you can use that information anywhere during the shot.
Yeah, it's super important with clean plates to also make sure that you are doing them on a tripod or something that's going to match. So
Yeah,
for movies, they have like motorized robotic arms that can like repeat the same motion, and you could like build an army of people with just
yeah,
having the same 10 people take like 10 steps back every time.
yeah.
But for
That was how they did the in Back to the Future. How, they did like the actors acting with themselves during complex moves.
Oh, snap, that's right. Yeah, so nowadays like you can do that. You can even rent that if you want to. It's like totally available for the average person, like the Arc 2 sliders from Rhino and stuff like
Yeah,
that. But it's always easier, I find, to just like set it up on a tripod. If you want to make it look like it's like homemade, you can just introduce some motion later in editing, like some unsteady kind of shaky hand movements, and
I do
then
that in most of my videos.
yeah, because it throws the person off because immediately
Yeah.
you start thinking, oh, this isn't going to be anything, and then it turns into something.
Even if it's not like I try not to overdo the handheld look, especially if it's a locked off shot. But I'll add just a little bit of hover, just so it get like you subconsciously feel it. Put them into After Effects.
That's awesome. I your preset, right? It's so uh all right, we're just gonna continue. I always I what was this? Okay. You're not only a stop motion kind of After Effects whiz, you also have a background in animation. You actually studied animation in
Yeah,
college.
I did.
Tell us
Yeah.
about that. How was your like journey to get from college to eventually working with Leica?
So yeah, when I was I studied animation in college, um, and when you're amongst like 200 other students who are doing the same thing as you, you have to try to stand out because you have to graduate at some point and get a job. So I kind of early on decided I would do stop motion to really stand out from everyone else who wasn't doing it. So I was one of a few people who did stop motion. So I kind of picked that, and on top of that, I really enjoyed doing it. So I ended up doing a grad film all in stop motion, and that led to me working in feature films.
Yeah, I feel like stop motion is not only is it like incredibly difficult, it's kind of like the last frontier when it comes to animation because
Yeah,
so few people like professional studios are currently doing stop motion because it takes so long and it is just like such an ordeal to
yeah.
do. What was your yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say it's a completely different way of animating as well. With other, computer or hand-drawn animation, you're doing keyframe animation, so you can do, keyframes throughout the shot and then layer in, layer in. But stop motion is frame one, frame two, frame three, straight ahead. So it's completely different.
And when you're doing stop motion for, say, for example, three different characters in the same scene, it's like not only do they all move differently, they all have different personalities. They're all moving at different times. So, how do you learn to do that? How do you learn to get so good at it?
It's just years of experience, really. You'll start with like a little clay ball bouncing, and then move on to objects, and then move on to hands picking things up, and then eventually you find yourself animating a character, and then that progresses to doing like 6 characters on screen at the same time. So it's really just years and years of practice.
Yeah, I learned this just the other day. So for the tutorial that I'm about to teach, by the way, if you just joined, you can get all of the manual and documentation at adobe.ly/tipstuesday. But for the tutorial, I had to shoot something. I actually shot something for your Halloween challenge, and I did it with forced perspective. And
Yeah.
this was my first time doing forced perspective, and I like going into it, I was like, easy. Peter Jackson can do it on Lord of the Rings. I can do it. And then I was like, oh, snap, no. Horizon lines need to match up. I need to fake a floor. There's so much that I didn't even realize. So I
Yeah.
think practice is huge. No matter if you're doing stop motion, forced perspective, or just you're learning After Effects in general, the more you practice, the better.
For sure.
So, what was something that you learned with your time at Leica doing stop motion or just doing stop motion in general that you now bring into your work currently?
I would say, I do mostly video work now, or a good portion of my work is myself acting. Um, and I learned through animation. When you're building a performance one frame at a time, one tiny movement at a time, you really start to understand how to build a clear performance. So when I film tricks with myself, um, with having that background, I'm going for 100% clarity. So every little movement I do myself, I'm thinking like an animated character. So if I'm going to grab something here, I want to show you and like look and control where your eye line is. So I think just that kind of animated performance clarity.
I think it's super important what you were saying about control the viewer's eye line, because when you are trying to do a trick, do some magic, it's like there is something hidden in there that the viewer is not supposed to notice or not supposed to see. So
Yeah.
if you can like redirect their attention somewhere else, and you can do that with like props, or you can do that with exactly like you said with your acting, with where you're looking at things. But not only do you act in your own stop motions, but you also make objects act. Like you can make a jack-o'-lantern cute or ferocious.
Yeah.
And it's not just with the motion, you also do quite a bit of sound design as well.
Yeah.
Maybe you could talk about your sound design process for us.
It's kind of like my video process in that it's I try to get as much sound myself as possible, so I record everything myself, and then it's really just layering it in. So I'll just jump into Premiere and I'll layer in the room tone, and then I'll layer in what are the most important sounds to tell the story, and once those are in, then I'll start layering like atmospheric stuff and little rustles and movements. So it's not scientific or technical at all. It's very organic, just listening to it over and over
But
until it
it's
feels right.
important, I think.
Yeah.
It's super important because that helps sell it more than anything else, is where you hear the sound of the thing, so you imagine that the thing must be real, or the thing must be like a giant book must have a very heavy sound when in fact it's a very light book.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you would want to, say to people who are trying to get into doing effects or doing magic, like any kind of resources? I would also definitely say if you are looking for a good reason to make something, Kevin has this wonderful challenge on the internet. And we are offline. Give me a second to come back, because I really want people to know about this. So it's okay. Oh, okay. I would just say if you're looking for something to be inspired by, Kevin has a really great challenge on the internet, the Kevin Parry like monthly challenge, and he does these wonderful themes every month where he'll like take a box and animate a box or a book, or you've had a door, like you've had a lot of really fun, a ball, you've had a lot of really fun challenges. The last one was a balloon that quite blew up. One of your videos was like
Yeah.
insanely popular, the one where you're dropping down and like turning into a bunch of balloons.
Yeah. And yeah, the whole point of that was just to structure this year around making as many fun ideas as possible, just to be less precious about making, perfect or viral videos. If you can't really think out that stuff, if you sit around thinking, I want to make this one viral video, it'll take forever. But if you just make a ton of stuff, more videos will do better.
Yeah, and also you get to practice new things. Like whenever I try to challenge myself with something new, or because there's a new task given to me by an employer or by a friend, I always
Yeah.
learn something new. Like even I was just helping my friend Mary out the other day and she wanted to shoot the entire thing on iPhones. So I got really into like iPhone lenses and like let's learn about the DJI Osmo and yeah, just having a task to do will help you grow and learn.
Yeah, that's the whole, creativity through limitation approach. If you can if someone says, make me a video, that's a pretty vague request. But if they say, make me a video with a balloon, then you start thinking, okay, what's a balloon? How do I do something creative with this?
Yeah.
How do I attack it from interesting angles?
Yeah, that's kind of what I did. It's actually a perfect segue to our lesson today because you gave me the task of animating a pumpkin and a jack-o'-lantern. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. So I went to the Dollar Tree and I purchased a styrofoam pumpkin and I
Yep.
carved a jack-o'-lantern into it and then I tried to do something. And that's what we will be editing today. But before I let you go, where can people find your stuff? Where would you like to send people to so that they can keep in touch with you and learn more from you?
Yeah, Instagram's a great place. And that's at Kevin B. Parry.
There we go, Kevin B. Parry. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. And apologies for the stream interruptions. I'm going to blame Los Angeles internet 100%.
Sounds
That's
good.
what it is.
Thanks for having me. And
Of
thanks
course.
everyone for tuning in.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so that was our chat with Kevin Parry. Let me just get my computer together so that I can start showing you this lesson. Now, full disclosure, I have not finished this project yet. I'm in the middle of finishing it. So I do want to show you, the stream might be down. Okay, whoa. Check your connection. Okay, there's an error code. Yikes. Okay, just making sure that everything's still working. Let's see. Nope, looks like everything's still working. Looks like it is just my internet that is being strange. Oh no.